Hey there, everybody. This is Ed, and welcome back to another edition of Bagel and Booze. I know we've been off for a few weeks. We're getting into summer. Things start getting a little crazy, but hopefully we can try to get some regularity here. We're going to go into another edition of crap I found in my fridge. Found this while loading up some summer beers, and this one does fit kind of summer. I guess maybe from the flavor profile, maybe. It's a Hefeweizen. The flavor for it's a raspberry.
There's only one man who would dare give me the raspberry.
Perfect thing for summer. I guess strawberry would be even better, but this is something that's been sitting back. I guess I bought it last year for summer, so we're going to see if it's still good, see if it shapes up a-okay, and we'll see how it does. It's crap we found in the back of our fridge. And yeah, I don't have my glasses on. Didn't get contacts, didn't get lazy, just, I don't know, lazy, don't want the lights reflecting. So with that, let's go ahead and get the Beercam set up. So for today's installment of Bagel and Booze and crap I found in my fridge, what we have coming up is perfect type of beer for summer. We'll find out if the beer is still good enough for summer, but it is a Hefeweizen. I guess really beer is good any time of year, but to me, some of the lighter beers better in the hotter weather. Just me trying to drink a porter and stout this time of year, just, I don't know, just doesn't end well.
It's so damn hot. Milk was a bad choice.
But what we have is the beer. We'll get the Beercam fired up if I can get it working. Here we go. Got our Beercam working. It's been off for a while. Don't know which buttons to push. Probably because I don't have my glasses on. But anyway, so what we have here is a raspberry Hefeweizen, and this is coming from, if I can pronounce the name of the brewery correctly, I know how I think I want it to be sound, but it is Schlafly Brewery. They're out of St. Louis, Missouri. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Schlafly Brewery, as I said, is out of St. Louis, Missouri. And these guys were responsible for having the first new brew pub opened in that city since Prohibition, and they opened back in 1991. So for today's The More You Know moment, when I was looking up information, actually it comes out from looking up information about the brewery, and that there's some pretty cool tidbit about their connection to a huge not pop culture, but I guess cult movie back from the 80s. What that is, well, you're just going to have to wait and see. We'll reveal it in good time. As I said, they set up shop in 1991. The building that they took for their location is on Locust Street in St. Louis, Missouri. Specifically 2100 Locust Street. And this building, it originally served as the location for the Swift Printing Company and was built and completed in 1904. And Swift, but I actually take that back. The building wasn't built for the Swift Printing Company. It was built for another printing company, but Swift took over, and they were the longest occupant. They occupied it from about 1912 until roughly about 1972, 1974. There's some discrepancy on there, depending on what you look at, because they transitioned locations from this area to a different part of St. Louis. But they left in the early 70s, and the property would fall into a state of disarray. Just nobody was taking care of it. And then that kind of went just sideways because a fire erupted in downtown St. Louis on April 2nd, 1976. And this was caused by a fire in a vacant shoe factory building in the area. The fire was so intense that it collapsed buildings, melted windows, and it raged for hours. And it required more than 200 firefighters, and they say about 15 fire trucks to control the blaze. This fire was so bad and just so catastrophic that the local paper the next day reported that the area looked like a bomb site. And this is actually what would serve as the backdrop. Here's your movie from John Carpenter's dystopian 1981 classic Escape from New York. Outside of one shot of the Manhattan skyline, if I recall, which was filmed at like the base of the Statue of Liberty towards the end of the movie, nearly all the movie was filmed outside of its namesake. The bulk of the filming took place in around Los Angeles and really in the city of St. Louis, Missouri. And it would be this fire ravaged section of St. Louis that serves as the backdrop for the darkened streets of Manhattan. Carpenter said in a 1994 interview that this area of the fire, despite all the horrific damage that was there, it actually retained the eastern look of New York City architecture that he was looking for. And working through a bunch of different things, working with city officials, they allowed Carpenter to have the electricity shut off for blocks and blocks and blocks. And with the bonfires that they set up, and they basically wetted everything down with water, it gave the city that a shell and an empty city look with lots of bonfires and rubble in the street, and it provided him that dangerous futuristic look that he wanted for the movie itself. It's from this movie that, again, as we said, shot in St. Louis, particularly in this area of Locust Street, where Schlafly Brewery, hopefully I pronounced it right, they set up, their building, getting a little tongue-tied here, but their building can be seen when Kurt Russell's Snake Plissken walks down the streets of Manhattan looking for the president's plane. And it's in this scene that their taproom future, I should say, taproom windows, because when this was filmed, they obviously weren't in business yet, can be seen. They would purchase this property in October of 1991. They managed to get enough of the property open within 2 months to open their doors in December of 1991. They finished out a complete renovation of this site in 1998. There's our, I guess, the more you know moment, a tie for the brewery into a piece of pop culture, or piece of pop culture into our brewery, however you want to look at it. So with that, let's go ahead, get this cracked open, and we're going to find out if it is still good.
I drink and I know things.
Okay, so we got everything all poured out, and as you can kind of see, sets up pretty nicely. So let's go ahead, get everything kind of moved around, move my bottle up so you can see that. So we'll go ahead, obviously give it out the good old sniff test, then we'll give it out a good old taste test. So off the bat, I guess not getting much fruit flavor off of that. I get a little whiff. Got a nice dark amberish color, slightly cloudy. It's not super crisp and clear. So we'll go ahead, give it off the old taste test and see if we get any flavor profile that shows up for the raspberry. And also find out if the taste of it is still good after sitting a year in the fridge. Yeah, I get the raspberry off of that, but I'm just not digging the not digging the flavor profile. In my mind, I guess with fruit beers, I don't know. It's not fully working for me. We'll give it another taste. But I do get some of the raspberry that's in there. It's not super overpowering on that, but it definitely gives a weird combination. I guess I was expecting something a little more kind of crisp and refreshing, a little bit more, I guess what it would be, but it's not because it's raspberry, but a little more lemony, a little more citrusy. Just with this, something just doesn't sit right with the flavor profile. As I continue to sit here and sip it, thinking maybe something will change, but I'm just not getting much difference off of it. It's just plain kind of, I don't know, for at least for me, kind of an average flavor profile. And to me, the raspberry with the Hefeweizen just, I don't know, it isn't working for me. Not that I don't mind a good raspberry flavor in the beer, but for me, I guess getting it combined, with say like a chocolate and like a nice chocolate raspberry porter, that sounds delicious. But for this style of beer, it just isn't working. Now again, this could have been great a year ago. It's sitting in the back of the fridge, could have something to do with it. So we'll chalk it up to that. But so with this, I'm not super digging it. We're gonna end up giving this guy a 2. 2 out of 5 bagels. I'm just not finding enough to kind of put it right there in the middle of the pack. Obviously, don't hate it. I could drink it. It's a lighter beer, but there's just that something that's off in it. You might have a different reaction to it, but at least for me, it's a 2. Take it for what you will. So, with that done, obviously it's time to find out, will this chug? All right, so it's time to find out if this will chug. I guess I'm not looking too optimistic on this one, just from the initial taste test and the flavor profile from this. This might definitely not be one to chug, but we'll find out. So, without any further ado, we got about, I don't know, half a glass here to check to see if it's chuggable. So, let's try. So, it did chug. Whew, um, uh, definitely intensified that kind of off taste that we were getting during our initial taste test. Uh, not going to knock it down to a 1 off of that, but it definitely intensified. It was a little bit of a challenge to kind of get through the last bit of the chugging, more so because of that kind of off taste of the raspberry and the Hefeweizen and raspberry and the wheat. But it's chuggable. Would I actively look to chug it? Not that I ever truly actively look to chug a beer, but wouldn't recommend it. Definitely more on the sipping side if you can take that. But all in all, I guess kind of had a little bit of expectations off of it. Obviously, didn't get it. Again, we can chalk it up to sit in the back of the fridge for a year. Who knows? Maybe it'd been better. We'll never know. That's why we do and clear out the back of the fridge for crap I found in my fridge. So, with that, this is done. I'm done. We're done. And again, I thank you all for tuning in for another edition of Bagel and Booze, and we will catch you later.